Hey guys, welcome back to the Legend of Corncast. I'm your host Jacob, and with me is
Aaron.
And today, surprising nobody, we're going to talk about A Link to the Past.
Yes.
The Super Nintendo one, and maybe the Game Boy Advance one.
And maybe also the Switch Online one.
That was the Super Nintendo one.
Is it?
I don't know, I haven't played it.
I thought it was a Switch one.
Well,
Nah, jokes aside.
it's emulating it. It's whatever.
It's the only one with save states. Another 3DS one, I think, also had save states.
What are we talking about? I don't know what we're talking about now.
I don't know.
That's not a thing in the vanilla game. That's not in the Super Nintendo one.
Save states suck.
They're fine for certain games. There are certain games that save states are legit for. I don't think A Link to the Past is one of them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just gotta take your beating like a man. Like dying 38 times in the Ice Palace.
That's true.
That was me.
I hate that dungeon.
Oh, I'm so bad at A Link to the Past.
Also, last year was actually my first time playing it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was actually a pretty good game.
That's odd.
You don't like it?
Not as much as some people. Like,
I think it's probably
I'll admit that it's a more polished version of it's probably the most polished 2D Zelda game.
it was pretty much a more polished version of Zelda 1 that actually gave us some backstory.
Yeah, that they retconned later on.
Yeah.
That's great. That's always fun to hear. Because originally it was the 7 wise men, and then then they're like, wait, no, we made all the sages we made half the sages women, so the 7 sages.
It was pretty much, hey, these wise men are actually the sages.
Yeah, that's how it got retconned in the Game Boy Advance version.
Mm-hmm.
So my first experience with this game was actually the Game Boy Advance version, and that was back in 2001. And I was just a wee lad at the time, and that's not a game you give to a wee lad.
No,
that game is very hard and very confusing.
It's not that hard, though.
If you're 7...
If you're 7, yeah, probably, but...
Because when I was 7, I remember getting through... it's the Eastern Palace. It's the first one, right?
The first one in the Dark World, I think.
No, that's the Palace of Darkness.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I get them switched.
But yeah, the Eastern Palace I got through. The one with the one in the desert. I don't know what that one is.
I'm bad with names and Link to the Past. Again, I've only played it once.
I've played it twice, I think. But whatever the desert thing is in the light world, where you get the pendant of whatever, one of the 3 MacGuffins.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're talking about the... Oh, I thought you were talking about the medallions.
No, not the medallions. But I got to the second MacGuffin.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not for the life of me figure out where to go. Because, 7. So, I put it down. Because if I didn't know where to go, I wasn't going to waste my time trying to figure out where to go. And I finally picked it up again in... I want to say 2011 or 2012. Maybe 13. And I sat down and I finally beat it. And I'm like, wow, I could have never figured this out as a kid. I can barely figure this out as an adult.
I'd say it's a lot less cryptic than Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, though.
It's a lot less cryptic, yeah. It's just...
There's a lot more hints.
There's a lot of puzzles that, you're thinking about it. You're like, I don't get it. I don't get what you want me to do. I mean, there's a fish. What do you want me to do with the fish? You want me to chase it into the deeper water? Because I can do that.
Again, it's also the first game to have the Master Sword.
Mm-hmm.
Except it wasn't... I think its design at the time wasn't, well thought out. They didn't have a real design for the Master Sword yet. Its iconic design.
Ironically, the Master Sword's not even the strongest version of the Master Sword in that game.
Yeah, it eventually becomes, the gold sword.
Yeah, it becomes the tempered sword, and then, the gold sword after you throw it into a lake.
Yes.
And then the fairy's like, oh, well, no, that's not.
You literally get it before... You get the gold sword before fighting Ganon.
Don't you have to You get the gold sword by getting the,
You have to bomb that wall?
Do you have to bomb? I thought you had to get the second smith to come back.
That's how you get the first one, the tempered sword, I think.
Oh.
You literally have to bomb a wall outside Ganon's palace.
Yeah, the Pyramid of Power.
Because that's also how you get the silver arrows.
Yeah, and some other stuff, I think, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's been a long time, and the more I think about it, the more I've seen it through randomizers, so...
I've actually never played a single Zelda randomizer, but I want to.
I have no desire to.
I do. I feel like that'd be fun, because there's, like... They've implemented them in the way to where, like, they add music from, like, Star Fox. Like, I've heard, like, randomizers that add music from Star Fox 64, and, like, it sounds like it doesn't fit, but it does.
Well, I mean, there's R-Wings and Ocarina of Time, so... But anyway, this is more about vanilla Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm.
And Link to the Past Game Boy Color Advance.
It's a hard as shit game, but it's a lot more fun, I think, than Zelda 1.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's a lot longer. It definitely stays a lot longer. Because there's, 8 Dark World dungeons plus Ganon's Tower.
There's 9. I think there's actually 9 Dark World dungeons.
Because, yeah, you get there's 7 Maidens, and then Ganon's Tower, and then there isn't anything for the Pyramid of Power because you just fall inside of it.
Mm-hmm. This was the first game that implemented a lot.
And then, 3 Light World dungeons plus Hyrule Castle.
I really like a lot of stuff in this game. Like, I really like the Light World, Dark World transition. This was the first game that really started, like, hey, the soundtrack to the game was just awesome.
I mean, except for dungeon themes.
Dungeon was boring.
Dungeon theme was god-awful.
Like, every time I hear the Dark World theme, I'm just like, hey, this sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It's just 16-bit greatness.
Yeah. I can't remember it offhand. I know what it is. I know if I heard it, I'd be like, yep, there it is. That's the one. And then I can't think of it right now. Shit. We're only 7 minutes in, man. I'm going to have more to say.
You said you hated the Ice Palace.
Yeah, Ice Palace was...
Because the penguins.
Just all of it. All of it sucked.
I remember hating the penguins.
Don't you get frozen if you touch certain things in there? And it's just like, well...
Yeah.
Let's see. So the bosses were kind of cool. I mean, you had some statues.
Oh, yeah. I remember, like, the first time I played that, I had, like, literally a quarter of a heart left when I beat him. And I was like, oh... And I literally had to evade him. I couldn't remember... Like, I couldn't figure out how to beat him because, it was my first time playing it. And I was like, how do you kill this guy? And I was like, oh, you got to use arrows.
I think I tried to swipe at him with the sword.
I think it's either. The timing in those games had to be perfect.
I think you just had to hit him with a spin attack.
Mm-hmm. The spin attack was pretty good in that game.
Let's see. Yeah, that was the first time the spin attack was in a Zelda game. Cutting grass.
I don't think it was called the Ocarina of Time in this game.
No, it was just the flute.
Yeah, but it was an ocarina.
Yeah, but it was a flute. That's what they called it.
I thought it was really dumb.
And then it replaced a shovel in the...
There was 2 capes. No, it wasn't a cape. There
was a cape.
There was something that made you invisible, and there was something that made you invincible, but they both took a lot of magic to use.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird items in that game that I feel like you used once, and then they don't get used again.
Mm-hmm.
Like
invisibility.
Well, the canes are the ones that I'm thinking of.
I think they are the canes that are in that.
Because there's a cane that makes blocks. You don't use it very often, but it's there.
There's a lot of one-off items in that game. Like, medallions are really useful, but they take so much magic.
Yeah.
So I just never use them.
Let's see, what else was in there? The Book of Madara. No, it wasn't the Book of Madara in that game. That was in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a book, and you could read letters with it.
It has debatably one of my favorite Ganon fights.
Yeah?
Because he's speaking, what was it? French?
He says on guard.
On guard?
I believe that's French.
I didn't know Ganon could speak French.
I mean, it's not really so much French, he's just saying on guard. Like, it's not like he's like speaking French, he just says some French words.
Theoretically, in the timeline, this is the most powerful Ganon. Yeah,
because he's got the Triforce.
The entire Triforce.
He's done it.
This is literally the downfall timeline. This is technically a theoretical plot line to the games.
after another game that we will talk about in like 6 weeks.
Yes.
But anyway, so let's talk about how this game was originally like put on the timeline. Like, it was originally a sequel to Zelda 2, and now it takes place before Zelda 2.
Yes.
Because, you know,
it was at the start of the downfall timeline, wasn't it?
that's where it is now.
Yeah.
It used to be at the end of the series, I think. Maybe. I might be wrong.
And then another game came out and just changed all that.
It's been a while since I've seen this. I could be talking out my ass.
Yeah.
That's kind of what this whole thing is, just...
Rambling.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of enemies returned, like the Lynels, the Hinox. Hinox has made their first appearance, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
They just chucked bombs at you for days.
I think also did rocks, maybe?
Rocks, bombs.
But they were jerks.
Yes.
They take a lot of hits.
They take a lot of hits and they do a lot of damage.
Oh, you know what else debuted in this?
What?
The Kuko Revenge Squad.
Yes.
If you beat...
I thought that was an Ocarina of Time thing, but nope, it was in this game.
If you beat the chicken too hard, it beat you. Like, it didn't stop, I don't think. Like, it didn't stop until you left the screen.
There was some more stuff that debuted in this game.
Pegasus Boots.
Yes.
Hookshot.
Hookshot was in this game.
Uh...
Magic Meter.
No, that was Zelda 2.
Oh, yep, you're right.
Bottles?
Yes. There was 4 of them.
Mm-hmm. You can get one from underneath the
Wait, no,
bench.
bottles were in Zelda 1.
Were they?
Technically, they were an item, but they were potions.
You didn't buy the bottle, you didn't have the bottle to fill, it was just the potion.
They were technically an item. They weren't called bottles, though.
They weren't the bottles that we know today.
You made this argument last week
Did
with no currency being in Zelda 2.
We didn't talk about no currency being in Zelda 2. That was you texting me saying,
yes,
hey, we forgot about currency.
I forgot to say that there was no currency in Zelda 2, and then you said gemeralds or whatever.
There were gemeralds.
But they're not, you can't buy anything with them.
There were gemeralds.
They just complete the dungeon.
There were gemeralds in Zelda 2.
And all they did was max out your XP bar.
That's all that matters.
They maxed out your XP. That's all they did.
Anyway, we're talking about Link to the Past right now.
I know, I'm just making a point.
We gotta talk about, Aghanim.
Aghanim, who's just really Ganon. Spoilers.
Can't believe you spoiled a game that's been out for 28 years?
I know. Almost 30.
God, that's an old game.
Literally next year, I think it'll be 30 years old.
Didn't it come out in 92?
91.
91.
91.
Oh, man.
On the SNES.
That game's older than I am.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so with that being said, I didn't grow up with this one either, so...
Neither did I. It was before my time.
I mean, I had the Game Boy Advance version for the longest time, but I never played it because I was always under that thing of I'm never going to find out where to go.
Oh, what was that? This was the first time I think you were shown the Dark World where you literally turn into a rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
I hated that part. A lot.
Oh, that was great, because you don't know where to go. Because you do that before you do the Tower of Hera.
I think so, yeah.
And you gotta figure out, use the Moon Pearl or the Mirror or whatever to get back, and you gotta do it in the right spot, otherwise, go back to being a bunny. But yeah, this was the first Zelda game to introduce the concept of 2 worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Something that a lot of them do nowadays.
I know I've already said it, but I really, really loved the Ganon fight.
Yeah, because you had flaming bats.
Flaming bats and I don't know.
He twirled his trident.
I like his trident.
He was
I think it's better than his swords.
Yeah.
I think it's more iconic. I mean, his swords are definitely more iconic. He uses swords more. But I think I think the swords fit Ganondorf more.
I think only one iteration of Ganon has used swords.
Ganondorf. Well,
I'm speaking specifically on Ganon.
Mm-hmm.
I think only one iteration's used swords, and that was Ocarina of Times. Because Link to the Past, Four Swords Adventures, they both use tridents.
Mm-hmm.
And then Breath of the Wild was just a big old noodle.
I think that would be also be considered more of a trident.
Oh,
it was like a long spear.
Are we talking about the Ganon fight or the Ganondorf fight or the weird
not
like
the Dark Beast? We're talking about Calamity Ganon.
I'm thinking of the one where you're on horseback and you just shoot arrows at him and he's not really a fight.
It's not a fight at all. Everybody was like so excited, like holy shit, Dark Beast Ganon is back, and it's just no, you just got to shoot him with the bow of light.
But anyway,
yeah.
So yeah, I think he uses his trident more.
I like the trident more, but
I think the trident looks pretty cool.
I also like okay. So the first time I fought him, I forgot I had the fire rod, so I was going around using the lantern.
Oof.
I made the fight way more difficult on me because I completely forgot about the fire rod because you use it in like one dungeon. So I lit the lanterns. I used my lantern to light the fucking things. It's gonna call them the lamps.
I mean, they're
the torches.
Yeah, torch holders.
The torch holders. I can't even think of them. The names. So like I had to be really quick to shoot Ganon with the silver arrows. Like I had to react in like a second. But with the fire rod, I probably had like 5 seconds to react. Yeah. But yeah, he took me a couple tries because I didn't do a save state outside of him.
I was playing on the Game Boy Advance, so I didn't have.
I tried really hard to not use save states.
I didn't have the luxury of save states or anything.
But what? Sorry.
No, I'm just saying I didn't.
Oh, you didn't have a luxury?
No, that was not something for me. That was. So, outside of Zelda 2, I want to say A Link to the Past is the Zelda game that kicked my ass the hardest. Because at the end of the game, it gives you a whole rundown of how many times you died and where you died. And, I want to say I was pushing 70.
Ooh.
And at least half of them came from the Ice Palace.
I died from Moldorm. Well, I didn't die from Moldorm a lot. I fell off Moldorm at least that many times.
Oh, Moldorm's pain.
The fight just restarts.
Mm-hmm. He bumps you and you go by.
I think I did use save states on Moldorm.
I didn't have that.
That fight sucks. It sucks fucking bad.
I had Game Boy problems, so that was me.
Other than that, I liked the game a lot.
Yeah, I mean...
For playing it a year ago.
It wasn't bad. I don't think it... For me personally, I don't think it lived up to the hype. Like, I think I only played it because it was a Zelda game.
Playing it in 91 would be like, holy shit, this is really good.
Yeah, no, playing it when it was new, I mean, that would have been like a game changer, like...
Mm-hmm.
Because it does a lot of things, and it does a lot of things well.
Yes.
Like...
Tells the backstory for the first time.
Like, all the bosses, I want to say, are pretty unique. Like, Blind the Bandit.
The Helmasaur King.
Somehow becomes a bird. Who would have thought that one possible?
I always get those two mixed up, because I know their names are really similar.
Well, the bird is Helmarok.
One of them's a dinosaur, and one of them's a...
The bird is Helmarok because Rock is a big bird. And then the other is Helmasaur, like dinosaur. He's like a big Dodongo. But yeah, Blind the Bandit is a unique fight, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Because he pretends to be a pretty lady. And then you're like, hey, let me take you to this really bright room. He's like, no, I hate it. Now I'm a spooky floating head.
What's the boss of the ice dungeon?
That's a good question. I blocked that one out.
I don't remember. There's a lot of bosses I just don't remember. Does Goma appear in this game?
I want to say Goma appears, but I don't know where. I know that there's a slime ball boss.
Yes, I remember the slime ball.
And then there's one who makes a reappearance as a mini boss in Majora's Mask.
Oh, it's the bubble.
Yeah, the one you gotta like use the hook shot to pull off the balls and, and slash them up. We already talked about the Armo statues.
Yeah, there's like 6 or 7 of them.
I think there's 6 of them. Let's see. You got the Moldorms in the desert.
Oh, the Helmasaur King. I know exactly what boss he is. He's the Palace of Darkness boss.
Mm-hmm. Turtle Rock has the turtle dragon.
Oh yeah, and he's not fun.
I don't know. I like that fight.
Actually, I don't remember him actually being that hard.
If you walk in without magic, he's gonna curb stomp you.
That's the same one where you get the mirror shield, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's the one where it's like, oh, you need the ice rod and the fire rod, otherwise you're gonna have a bad time.
You also get in this game reoccurring items like the blue mail and the red mail.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's not they weren't introduced, but
yeah, like I meant reoccurring.
Yeah.
But if you had to rank it on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
Well, I said Zelda 1 was a 6, so I feel like this one needs to be higher than it, so probably a 7.
I'd probably give it an 8.
Alright.
I might be pushing it. Yeah.
I mean, it's all...
I'll give it a 7.
It's all you want.
I'll also give it a 7. But that's the best 7 I could possibly give it. It's a good game, but I prefer 3D Zelda over 2D Zelda.
Yeah.
Not that they're bad, it's just that's what I grew up on was 3D Zelda.
Mm-hmm. That's me too. Like, I always think to myself, Ocarina was my first Zelda, but I'm pretty damn sure this was actually my first Zelda. I'm pretty sure Link to the Past was my first one, and I did not like it. It didn't do anything for me. Like, I played it and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get what's going on. Which is why it took me an additional, 12 years to finally get back to it.
Yeah, it's a tough game, but I don't think it's harder than Zelda 1 or Zelda 2. Zelda 2 is dreadfully hard.
Yeah, Zelda 2 is definitely harder than this one.
There's some people that make those games just look incredibly easy, though.
Yeah, no, I've seen people fucking speedrun Link to the Past in 2 hours, and it's just like, man, at 2 hours in, I'm just getting to, the Eastern Palace, and I'm getting through that. Oh, come on, guys.
Right.
You've already beat Ganon? What? But I just got to Armo statue.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to say about this, aside from... This is the third Zelda game?
Nope.
Well. Man, we really need a closer. Well, see you guys.
Goodbye.